Good to go. Call to order Tipton Common Council meeting. If you would, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much for coming this evening. I would share the format of today. The outline is the agenda you have before you. I do not intend to change the location of public comment, but what we will allow is prior to, I assume we're all here for 2023-10, I will allow each city council member to make a statement about their position relative to it, what feedback they have received from the community, or if they would like, they can select a member from the public to speak at that time. The process for ordinances, as you are all aware of, I'm sure, is that there's two different readings. Historically, folks, previous administrations had waived the rules so that both readings took place at the same time if there was a unanimous vote in support of that ordinance. When I took office, I'd expressed that I did not like that policy. I liked separated readings so that the public would have notice from the first reading about what was being contemplated, with the design of representative government being that you would then contact your city council representative and inform them of your opinion. There's been numerous people that have shared with me their feeling of being intimidated and bullied from comments made on Facebook, which I don't think that's anyone's intention with what they post, but sometimes it can become pretty aggressive, I would share. So that's what's going to be the format for the evening. I would move to minutes at this time. Is there any questions about minutes?
Make a motion to approve the minutes of September 25th.
Second.
Thank you, Nate. Thank you, Rick. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you very much. Besides public comment, is there any suggested amendments to the agenda?
That's the only amendment that I would have, Mr. Mayor, would be to amend the move public comment after the mayor's report. Everything you said is true, but this is such a polarizing issue. I feel like it wouldn't hurt to hear from the public one more time, sir, before we vote.
Got it. And I trust that you've probably heard quite a bit from the public, Rick. So in this case, I don't think it's appropriate. There again, I would still like to have public comment, although it's not a requirement for meetings, but in its orderly place. We've seen in the past what allowing public comment spirals into as far as what I want to say, length of time and divisiveness that's presented. So I think it's appropriate as I suggested. First meeting of the month, Board of Works and Safety. Would you be so kind to present that report, Nate?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll try to go through quickly because there's one important thing that the public needs to hear about. We did approve 2 street closures, one for the South Pole Trunk or Treat, October 28th, an alley closure for West Street Christian Church, October 29th, 5 to 7. Got an update from the Cemetery and Park Board. Planning Board has been extremely busy. We hear a lot of complaints about properties, and over the last 4 years, we've really done a lot more to address those. So on that list was 121 South Independence Street. We issued an order to appear. 225 Maple. We're going to leave it open, although the property is mostly cleaned up. 124 4th Street. We should have that property hopefully starting demo. That's probably the permit in the next 2 weeks. And then we got an update on the old Red Brick Saloon. He has been in, maybe putting in a state design release to redo that. So we're constantly monitoring those properties, trying to help clean up the city. The most important thing that came in that meeting, though, was I'm sorry, I'm going to share this old school. There's some copies floating around. This is one of the proposed improvements for the intersections that we're considering tonight. We plan on doing something exactly like this at all 3 intersections. It includes improved striping reducing the lanes to 2 lanes, some type of infrastructure inside of the striped lanes so that people can't simply drive through them, and several others, including signage that looks something similar to this in the middle of the road, which causes people to slow down. And as we heard from Wyatt Johnson several times ago and a couple other people, the idea is to calm traffic. So to slow it down, make people stop, give right of way to the pedestrians. And in any endeavor like this, you're going to exchange some vehicular flow for safer pedestrians. Believe it or not, it's safer to cross 2 lanes of traffic than 4 if you're a pedestrian. So I will gladly, in my opinion, if stoplights come, go, or stay, Mike said this is an improvement, and I agree. This needs to be done regardless. And I'm happy to see that we are considering pedestrian safety and actually vehicular safety at the same time. So this, and if anybody's interested, we have renderings for the other intersections as well. This one just looks the nicest. So that is the biggest update, and this is to be done ASAP. I believe the mayor and Mike, the city street manager, met with Seal Coating today, a couple contractors to start working on this. So in the near future. And that was the biggest update we got from the Board of Works.
Got it. And I would share as an update to that, I had a discussion with one of the contractors mentioned for the demolition of 124 4th Street. So that has been engaged and in process, and they did get a hold of CenterPoint as far as the process on it.
Excellent.
I would also share, as pointing out from Nate's comments, at a 4-way stop, the pedestrian always has the right of way. If you come to an intersection, you see someone standing there wanting to cross, anticipating crossing, you are to wait for that pedestrian to cross. Next up, Cemetery Board.
Cemetery Board met last Tuesday, I'm sorry. And they had 2 burials, 2 cremations. They sold 4 lots for the amount of $3,500. That's pretty much it.
Got it. Thank you, Rick. Park Advisory Board.
Park Advisory Board, actually, I missed that meeting, but Diana gave us a report today at noon. IU Health purchased 6 new trees in the park, and they look great, good, healthy-looking trees. Repairs have been made to 2 pieces of playground equipment. A new piece of equipment has been delivered and is scheduled to be installed the 12th of this month. I know the fence is scheduled.
That's out for bid.
It's okay for bid, and grass is coming up at the new Ball Diamonds. And that was pretty much it.
Thank you, Rick. Utility Board.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Utility Board met on October 2nd. Claims were processed during that time. Just to highlight the lengthy minutes with a few items. They completed the Assembly of God's property purchase. That occurred actually back on the 2nd. On the item front, General Manager Jim Ankrum will be meeting with Matt Smith of Strand. Or actually, he probably just met with him this past Thursday, and they're talking about a timeline on the deliverables regarding the CSO count for the city and responding to the letter from IDEM prior to the 2/1/2024 deadline. The connector project's coming along, tentative bid dates and projects. They're looking at initial bids on November 1st and working all the way through to the final bid due date of December 7th of this year. Last item I want to highlight is on the city's east side development. Studies by Strand NDOT. They responded to the feedback from TMU's proposal on moving the water line under 28. They want to be able to move it from the south side over to the north side to be able to be in place for any future developments. Strand will provide any final design and submit to NDOT for an official construction permit. And then General Manager Ankrum will also solicit bids for this work to determine accurate budget cost. And that's my summary of the Utility Board report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Rick. Any other boards or committees that would like to report at this time? Seeing none, takes us to new business. And Linda Johnson is kind enough to visit us again this year with her services for the community. If you would be so kind, Linda.
Thank you, Mayor Gazelle and Board, for letting me be here this evening. Again, for Guardian Advocates Incorporated, now with our sister division out of Anderson, still serving our 5 counties, Tipton, Howard, Cass, Fulton, and Miami. This is our 7th year, and we're very proud to keep going strong. We have great program growth, continuing to help these most fragile people in our community. Overall, our program saw a 20% growth this year. And I have passed out that letter of intent that you had before you there with our mission and different pieces of information and the numbers there at the bottom. As always, to show you, if you look at the Tipton County numbers, Tipton County rates 16% of our referral client base compared to the other 4 counties that we serve. And we have total referred from Tipton County 28 for this year, and we have done our due diligence to do the least restrictive alternative as we are required by law, and that is to apply the appointed guardianship at the last most critical moment and to find other ways to help these folks if we can. We've taken some sad cases in the community, and some are thriving well in their new homes, group homes or nursing homes or assisted livings. We have others, as you can see, we've had some deceased over the years. Unfortunately, that happens too with this fragile state. We want to continue to serve this program, and as you maybe remember, this is a program out of the Indiana Supreme Court, similar to CASA for children. This is what the program they've designed for adults. However, there is no money set aside in the judges' budgets like I believe there is for CASA. They do give us an opportunity to write a grant that is a 2-to-1 match, meaning if we want to write the grant for the full $75,000, doesn't mean we're going to get it, but we have to have a 2-to-1 match or at least $37,500 going into that. We solicit, if you want to use that word, I don't like that word, but we canvass and hope that we continue to have our partners across all the counties that going strong, which we do. We have 20 or more that usually reoccur every year to come back and support us. If you do your math, which if you look again across the bottom there, Tipton is 16% of our client base. So if you look at our budget going for 2024, our budget is a little over $236,000. And if you take 16% of that, that is $37,760. If you want to put some statistical numbers to it, so 16% compared to the client base, that would be $37,760. That you might say, okay, Tipton, maybe that's your share, your chunk. I hate saying it that way, but it does help to put things in proportion. We have 4, what I hope to be 4 major contributors this year. We always have you folks coming back and helping us, the commissioners and the county council, Tipton County Foundation. We hope that the IU Health Hospital Foundation will come along this year. We have outreach to other individuals, and we're always looking for more and more donors along the way. But if you take the majority of that coming from those 4, that would be $9,440 split up into the 4 major donations. Our ask officially this year is $5,000 again. However, I'd like you to consider if you have $7,500, or at least footnote that into next year's budget, as we are being told by the IOCS, which is the Indiana Office of Court Services, that the grant that has been with the Supreme Court may not be there beyond or even in 2025, which is around the corner. And for us to start broadening and digging deeper into our various donation bases. Across the state, we cover 52 of the 92 counties. There are 20 programs of us that do this. They're all in growth. There's a great need. We are covering over 800 appointed guardianships across the state. And who knows what's ahead. So I would ask you to please at least consider the $7,500. And like I say, if footnoted into your budget for next year, that's great. If you'll come along with us and support us strong for the $5,000, we greatly appreciate that. And that would be my request tonight, $5,000. and only you know if your budget will allow more. So that's what I'm here to ask for. That's what you've been doing, I think, for the last 2 or 3 years anyway, 3, maybe 4 years. And you greatly appreciate it. Any questions I could answer? Not too many changes. We're just keep on helping.
At what point will you know whether or not that grant that you're used to receiving is received, Linda?
The application has to be in a week from Friday the 20th, and we will know in late November. So the idea is to have these matches in beforehand so that I can include them in that submission, which is a week from Friday, which would be my hope that Tammy or Susan can give me a pledge letter of your decision by a week from Wednesday. They moved it up 2 weeks on us. Normally, we don't submit that grant until about the 9th of November. And week before last, they dropped it in our laps and said it has to be by the 20th of October. So we're kind of spinning around to get things done.
Got it. And I apologize. We may want to try and move you up a month as far as your visit with us because our numbers are set pretty much. So if you would let us know about that other grant, maybe there may be something else we can look at or consider in different sources, but it's been set up to renew with 5.
That's great. And I appreciate that so much for all your support for the 5. I think it's only our due diligence to express to you what might be ahead of us as soon as we can. And by the end of first quarter, I certainly hope I can come out with an update. I usually try to in the summertime, but I hope to get one out sooner to reconfirm that. So as you make your budgets next year, that you can look at that and we'll know more as we go along. So I appreciate for the 5. Tammy, if you can help me get to Susan.
I wrote a note. So,
Awesome. And she can just email that to me.
and if you can maybe schedule maybe June or July so we can get the budget numbers in. We asked the department heads to have them by, I think the 1st of June. So it would just help if we had the numbers ahead of time.
You bet. And I can appreciate that. So I do appreciate that. And I will do my best to get that on the calendar earlier. Thank you, folks, very much.
Thank you very much for all you do, Linda.
You bet.
It's
And if
sincerely
anyone-
appreciated.
Well, it's been my pleasure to be here along the road for the 7 years. If there's anyone in the audience or along the way that would like to volunteer with us, always reach out and let us know. My office is no longer here in Tiffin as I semi-retired. They're pulling me along for a little bit longer. I'm glad I can help. But if you ever want to get a hold of me, now that we're no longer with Area 5, you can always reach out through the senior center. They pretty well know how to get a hold of me, and my name's around town with my phone number. But again, thanks so much.
Thanks for all you do, Linda.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Have a good evening.
Thank you,
You
Linda,
too.
too.
Next up brings us to any old business to come before the council. Mayor's report, I would share. Pardon?
I said someone stood up.
Sorry, I just wanted to make a request that the petition that all of you guys received before the meeting be added to the minutes and read aloud, if you would, please.
I disagree with that. And I will give my reasons whenever we do our voting, because this would be out of order from the public comment.
Okay, we'll address it then. Thank you. Under Mayor's report, I would share that the last residential lot we had found a buyer for that wants to build a home on Madison Street, and that we went through the open bid process for 210 and 212 to be available. At the average of the 2 appraisals, we had no offers on that property. So it's actually listed right now. If anybody would like to present a proposal on what they would like to do with 210 and 212, you can stop down at my office to pick up an application. You may know it as Bud and Jody's Liquor Store. So sign does not go with it, though. Brings us to resolutions and ordinances. The first one, Sophie, as you had asked for, is property that you may know at the split. It's a 3-acre parcel that as we try and complete the steps for the sewer interceptor line connecting our west plant to our east plant, there's a 3-acre parcel there right at Golf Course Road and Old 28. The owners were willing to sell that property for $32,000 an acre. The proposal you have before you is to acquire 3 acres with the intention of that being the location for the lift station.
Will this be paid on edit reimbursed if we get it through the Ready grant or?
It's actually funds setting in the Ready Grant account now, correct, Tammy?
Correct.
Yep.
Can you, for the public, elaborate on what the Ready grant was?
The Ready Grant was a grant from the state of $3.5 million, which was to be matched by the city, the county, and a match of investment in infrastructure. So it's approximately a $6.5 million project to connect the west plant and the east plant. The hope is that some future date that creates an opportunity for some residential or other growth opportunities to occur along that corridor. And I think we've probably all heard about that for maybe the last 4 decades or so, about the possibility of that being in our future. I think we need a few more homes in the community. In all honesty, I'd like our firefighters, our police, our healthcare, and our teachers all to live here in Tipton. So hopefully we can open those things up. So that's what the request is. We've got 2 appraisals, one for $114,000 and one for $97,500. So we're not paying over the average of 2 appraisals.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2023-21.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Nate. Thank you, Rick. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
I'm going to go ahead and say aye. I didn't say aye, but yes, aye.
You're voting in favor of.
Yes.
Got it. Thank you. Motion carried. Next up is ordinance 2023-07, which is an ordinance setting salaries for elected officials for the year 2024 as required by IC Code 36-4-7-2. That we completed the first reading last meeting. This is the second and final reading. Is there anything you'd like to add on this one, Tammy?
No.
Okay. Is there any questions? Council?
No, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve ordinance 2023-07 on second and final.
Second.
Thank you, Nate. Thank you, Rick. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I abstained since I was not in attendance.
So noted. Those opposed? Motion carried. Next up, ordinance 2023-08, ordinance setting maximum salaries, wages, and other compensation for police officers, firefighters, and all other employees of the city of Tipton for the year 2024. This is second and final reading also.
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance 2023-08 on its second reading.
Rick, can you rescind that? We need to amend it.
Okay. I'll rescind.
Yeah, I would make a motion that we amend it and under EMS paramedic, civilian paramedic, we change it from 18 to a range showing $18 to $24 per hour. The why is, as you guys kind of know, talking to Chief Bittner is here if anybody has questions. We set a budget for much more than $18 an hour, but the salary ordinance does not reflect that. Chief Bittner has assured us he can manage the budget. Just 18 is just not enough to get what he thinks is hired. So I think a range would be better.
My apologies. I thought that the ordinance had already contemplated that. Thank you for
No.
that catch.
So that was a motion.
I'll second the motion.
Is there any further discussion?
Chief, did you want to add anything?
Unless you have any questions for me.
Stop sign or? I'm just kidding.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I'll plead the fifth on
Yeah.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Did you abstain or did you?
Well, I abstained from the budgets that I want, but I do agree with that amendment. So which way should I go on that one, Tammy? Abstain?
If
You
you're
voted in-
satisfied with,
That was the part that I was definitely in on.
If you voted in favor of, then you did not abstain from that. You voted in favor of it. Okay, next up, ordinance 2023-09. Ordinance for Form 4, adopting the 2024 budget, second and final reading.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the ordinance 2023-09.
Thanks, Rick. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Nate. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign.
Abstain?
So noted, motion carried. Which brings us to the topic of the evening. Ordinance 2023-10, ordinance amending ordinance number 2005-10, Article 11, Section 9-401, traffic lights and section. Stop signs in the city of Tipton. This is the second and final reading on this. If you do recall, we actually had a motion by this council to approve making the four-way stops permanent. We felt it prudent to go back and formalize that with an ordinance. Last meeting, we went ahead and approved the first reading of that ordinance. There again, the public had time to make comment, provide input to their representatives, and we're here at the second reading. As expressed on the front side of the meeting, I would ask for either the council member's opinion or if they would like somebody from the public to speak in their spot, I would welcome that as well. Sophie.
I would like for the public to know that I didn't take this situation lightly. We did do a traffic study. As the climate was, these meetings began some time ago at the beginning of the year, so this is not a bum rush to get this through. We've been talking about this for a while. So we did the traffic study. The traffic study with the professionals said there was no need, it was not necessary for stoplights. I was still a little skeptical, and then we have other information that was provided to us, and there was a lot of stuff disclosed. But then when the truck mowed over the stoplight, and we were forced to do a now true time run of stop signs. So as I moved throughout the city, which I go at various times of the day for various reasons, I saw it being very smooth, successful. I didn't see any near hits. I didn't see any of these things. I saw the ebb and flow just be very good. And then myself, as a citizen who drives these, enjoyed it. As far as the people who have reached out to me, I do want to know, it has been brought to my attention from other professionals, downtown business owners, long-standing, that they too also appreciate the stop signs, but they have expressed they don't want their names or their businesses told because of retaliation, personally, and with their business. That causes me pause. And for that reason, I don't like that. I did have multiple people, which surprised me, multiple people send me videos where they have been recording various times throughout the day because they work in different locations of downtown that proved their case in point, no near misses, traffic moving well, people strolling across, running across, bikers, things of that nature. So I had people go as far as doing that. I can tell you I did see something that did bother me, and that I won't bring up unless it's necessary. Yes, there was an outcry. People say they don't like it. But the ones who said they don't like it are not all encompassing of this city. And I personally am going to stick with my yes for stop signs.
Thank you, Sophie.
Thank you.
I
Nate?
too. Oh,
Rick, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Well, wait, there's one more thing I forgot to mention, guys. Some time ago, we had a bunch of banter about the trucks going through. I don't feel safe on the sidewalks, can't walk with my pets, can't walk with my children, I can't walk to downtown because of all this truck traffic. So the bottom line is, you know, we can't please all the people all the time, so we have that coming at us. So we have less traffic as far as trucks are concerned. We still have an issue, but it's far less than it was. Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you. Rick, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I too agree with Sophie. And I think if everyone would just be patient and let us complete the whole project, this is a big part of it. I think you'll find out it's going to be safer. I think traffic right now still flows better than it did with the stoplights. And I too am going to vote to keep this four-way.
Thank you, Rick.
Another thing too, I think,
Would you please, let's
Yeah,
go through the
let's-
process. Thank
Sorry if I'll try not to be too verbose, but the first thing I'll say is somewhat echoes what Sophie said. When I came home from the Army, I was at the EDO, and we did almost this exact same thing when we disbanded the EDO, and that is everything was bad faith, it seemed like. It didn't matter if it was elected officials or the community, we just basically just tore each other apart, and nothing got done. And frankly, that's all I care about is outcomes, improved outcomes. So I do know a few things. I know the comp plan calls for a walkable downtown. I know the downtown revitalization plan calls for a walkable downtown. Both documents created by community members, some of which are sitting in this room or out in the hallway, or who knows how many people are out there. Walkable downtown, we did not have that prior to the truck accident. So I think we have an opportunity. That's how I'm going to look at it. Albeit under unfortunate circumstances, whatever you want to call it. We have a chance and an opportunity, in my opinion, to make the city more walkable. So this council said at first, let's get rid of truck traffic. That is directly in both the comp plan and downtown revitalization plan. When I say get rid of it, ag is exempt, local deliveries are exempt. It's just pass through. And since we own that road, the council made the right decision, in my opinion, to be fiscally responsible for the people of this county. Again, if you disagree, that's fine, but we can't come everything with bad faith. And then the other thing I'd say is we're elected to do, as Tom alluded to, the best job, make the best decisions for this community. Again, bad faith, my wife has even got phone calls about corruption and me being, I get $250 every 2 weeks to sit in 10 to 20 hours of meetings, which I donate to various organizations. So maybe the big stop sign lobby is paying, I don't know. But I would say that we have to start trusting some of our people. I've known Keegan for 10 years. I've known Abby since I was in 5th grade. I've known Tim Richards for a long time. I've known Rich Vartal, and I've known almost everyone up here for most of my life. I don't know Benny very well, but I trust and hope, Benny, if you win, you do what you think is the best decision for this community. Not what a few people are telling you, not what could feel like a mob is telling you. You have to, at the end of the day, take all the information in and make the best decision you think is for this community. If this gets me unreelected, fine. I'm not making decisions to try to get reelected. I'm making decisions because I think this is what's best for the community I love. So with that, the last thing I'll say, I was inundated with emails, calls, great conversation. Most people, even if they were rough at first, if I spoke with them politely, we kind of came to an agreement. The agreement was everybody agreed. There's two things we know. Tipton was not walkable before, and right now is somewhat suboptimal. You're walking across 4 lanes of traffic. It's not striped well. People don't know when to go. We have trouble with stop signs. This, I think, is the answer. This helps tremendously. You only have to walk 2 lanes of traffic, not 4. That is safe. It's a trade-off. You may have to wait at the stop sign for an extra 35, 40 seconds. If you look at the traffic study, that's about what, on the busiest day, you could be sitting and waiting. So with that, I do support the stop signs. I think the rub will be, what do we do with the light infrastructure? In my opinion, it needs to stay up. If we take those down, they're gone forever. We cannot afford $2 million to replace them. I would like to give future administrations, future councils, the ability to, if they need to, put those back on. And this is not a sunk cost at that point. This can still be used if lights are there. This is safer for everybody. Vehicles, pedestrians alike. And I'll just close with, I was very disheartened to receive some emails. The worst was, if any of my words are reproduced and shared, please omit my name. Unfortunately, because of the current political climate, I fear unreasonable retaliations and business consequences from people who do not agree with me. I do not want to be like every rural community that just rips itself apart. Been involved since I got in the Army for 10 years, 12 years. We just keep doing this. Nobody up here had bad intentions. We all have good faith that we're doing the best. And I trust that the future elected officials, and Benny, if you beat me, you too, you do the best that you can. That's all I'll say.
Thank you, Nate. Rick?
Well, I'd like to start by echoing Nate's sentiments that he gave here at the end. My opinion is going to differ a little bit differently from the others sitting at this table. And most of the exchanges that I've seen have been constructive and not mean-spirited. But I've seen some mean-spirited posts and comments and things like that. And I want to tell you, nobody sitting at this table is a bad person. Even though my opinion disagrees with their opinion on this, they all work hard. And I'm going to tell you, this chair is hard. That chair is hard. These are hard positions full of tough positions. Sometimes we're going to agree. Sometimes we're not going to agree. I have seen with my own eyes too, the, I guess, virtual ripping apart of this community with just how hateful I've seen a select few going at each other. And there's no place for that. This community is going to sink if that's how we behave, whether this decision goes my way or the other way. What we have to do is we have to make the best decisions we can and move forward with the hands that we are dealt. That being said, I am opposed to this, and I'll be voting no against removing the stoplights, and here's the reason why. And I've consulted with other communities that went through similar relinquishments. I've looked myself, and I will tell you, the accident that occurred in August certainly did calm the traffic and did calm the walkability when it comes to walking along the sidewalks. It has made it more difficult to cross the street. This will certainly help because it is more difficult to cross 8 lanes than it is to cross 4 lanes. But I was hoping with some sort of hybrid solution. I think most people would say the Madison and Main light, it can go away tomorrow. I know I've sat leaving the insurance agency for 4 minutes with nothing there. The downtown stoplights, certainly Main and Jefferson, I think there was a strong case to keep that light. And I wanted to enhance that light and add the addition of a particular instrument referred to as a pedestrian scramble, which could have been set during times of high volume, high pedestrian traffic, festivals, things like that. So we could have taken the best of 2 worlds. We could have had some intersections no longer with the lights and 1, possibly 2, to continue forward with the lights that I think would have provided a compromise that would have made everyone happy. That's just probably not how that's going to go this evening. So if I'm voted down, I probably will be voted down. I'll do everything in my power to make sure that this is done as soon as possible so that we can eliminate the 8 lanes of traffic and bring it down to 4 lanes. And there have been communities that have done this. And I read about a community in Arizona that in a 5-year period of time, they went back and forth on stoplights and stop signs probably about 6 different times. So I know this isn't an easy decision for anyone behind the table. And I know it's not an easy conversation for anyone to attend our meeting this evening to be able to just lightly take, regardless of what side they're on. And I do appreciate the attendance this evening. For 5 years, I've been trying to get people to fill this room, and it's finally full. So I appreciate everyone coming out. My vote tonight will be no on removing the stoplights for the reasons I stated.
Is there anybody else that council would like to hear from?
Mr. Lee wanted to talk about the petitions. The only reason I'm bringing it up, and I did thank him for giving it to me. I went through it and just counted alone the people who are not Tipton residences, and of his signed signatures, that's 482 that are not actually living in this community, whether it be in the county or in the city. It's not saying that their opinion doesn't does, but I just wanted to make sure to make note of that. And as far as reading many of these names, I don't think that is feasible for this purpose.
Anyone else?
Can I request, I don't know if our NDOT liaison is here because I don't see her. Is Jane Harper here? I would like for Jane to speak on the professional side. She is our liaison that's appointed by the mayor, and she can give actual tangible experience in kind of how we got here. Thank you, Jane. I wasn't sure if you were here.
I wasn't. I'm not going to speak. You really want me to?
If you'd like to, there again, these are probably more so city issues at this point. Jane's done a tremendous job working with NDOT, instrumental to relinquishment and all the things that have been fixed as far as access as it relates to state highway. Like I say, she's been instrumental in that role. This is probably more so a city issue, but if you'd like to comment, Jane, that'd be fine.
Well, I've heard a lot of things tonight that I agree with some, I disagree with some. I have tried very hard to arm the council with facts. And I've gotten those facts from my position as the NDOT liaison. And it's been advice that I've received. And you have gotten a tremendous amount of statistics showing that despite what you've heard from other people, four-way stops are safer than traffic signals. You've heard that communities are yanking out their stop lights in droves because they're safer. You've gotten videos showing the pedestrians crossing at this intersection and they're not in danger. So I have done my best to show you that it is the best thing. And I want to say that you've been chastised for the relinquishment. And some of the same people who were against the relinquishment are now against taking out the stoplights. And you can't have it both ways because the plan was, and I cannot speak that this would have happened this way because the plan was aborted. So we can't say what would have happened for sure. But what was being planned was that NDOT would have had two stoplights in Tacoma. The one at 19 and 28 and the one at Jefferson and Main. At Independence, it would have been a two-way stop. There would have been no traffic signal there, so it would have been a free flow of traffic until we got to Jefferson and Main. And at West in Jefferson, it would have been a free flow of traffic and a two-way stop. So people who are worried about crossing the street, what would they be doing at those two intersections? They'd be complaining about how are we going to get across the street. So yes, we would have had a beautiful road if we had not gone through the relinquishment. And cars and semis and everyone would have been barreling through this town at probably 30 or 40 miles an hour. There would not have been, Nate, to your point, walkability, because it would have been a free flow of traffic. When the light at Jefferson and Main would have been green, nobody would be stopping in Tipton. So with the relinquishment came this. So you cannot have it both ways. So again, I have done my best to arm you with as many statistics, as many facts as I can. And even in Indianapolis 2 weeks ago, they yanked out stoplights because stoplights were killing pedestrians because of how fast people were going and how they were turning right on red and hitting pedestrians. And Nate, just to your point, I do want to say one thing, because I have been advised that keeping the overhead signals, drivers do not need to be looking up. They need to be looking at the road where the pedestrians are, and that saves the pedestrians. So that's why the advice was to get rid of the overhead structures, because you want the driver's eyes to be on the ground where the pedestrians are if you want walkability. So that's, I'm just passing the advice along to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jane.
Thanks very much. Any other council members?
The only other safety thing I forgot to mention was without this plan, if anybody's ever tried to cross, say with a stroller, So if you're going from, for example, the Market on Main to Hortons, before all this happened, so last year, if the light was green and you had the walk sign, if you stepped out into the road several times, you could have been hit by someone hanging a sharp right turn because they have the green. And that has happened to me and my family several times. So I think even with this, that makes it, they can't do that. There's things in the new median and they would have to go out and around. So that lessens the chance of being struck as well. So again, pedestrian safety was the number one, even from people who supported it, which we actually had quite a few calls and stuff. They said we need to see pedestrian safety improved. And this does exactly. And again, it's not at just Jefferson and Main, it's at all 3 intersections.
Absolutely.
I make a motion to approve ordinance 2023-10, amending the ordinance for traffic lights. And, I'm sorry, it says traffic lights, stop signs in the city of Tipton.
Second.
I can read the whole line, but that's what I'm making a motion to.
Thank you, Sophie. Thank you, Rick. All those in favor of approving on second and final reading, ordinance 2023-10, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you very much. Brings us to claims.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve 4 payment claims. 174782 through 174885 in the amount of $4,059,261.77.
I'll second.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Rick. All those in favor of paying claims signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
I didn't vote.
Nate did not vote. Motion carried. Thank you. At this time, what I'd like to do is ask Mike Terry to come up and explain, if you would just briefly, Mike, first the improvements and what we've discussed as far as the schedule for improvements with stop signs and painting and crosswalks and things like that, and then to share an update also as far as where things are at on some other improvements in the community.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Mike Terry, Public Works Manager for the city. So the mayor and I and some others have been working diligently on the paperwork that you see there. I also have shared some pictures of delineator posts that will go around to help visually mark the line markings. The mayor and I did meet with a contractor this afternoon. We're working on getting some pricing back from him. His schedule will allow this project to move forward within the next 2 to 3 weeks. So we'll be reaching out to other contractors, getting pricing, and be ready to move this project forward. I'm excited about it. It's a transformation over downtown and makes it much more pedestrian usable. And I will say that I too believe that this is maybe phase 1 of more transformations to come. We may pick up some additional parking downtown as we calm that traffic going through the downtown, make it a 2-lane street moving through our downtown area. So it's very exciting news, and I appreciate all of you on the council and mayor.
Thank you for all you do.
Yep.
So we expect stop signs up in probably the next 7 to 10 days.
Yeah, we will start working on stop signs immediately. We do have all the materials needed to start implementing the stop signs. They will be put up on the sidewalk curb area at first until the striping gets put in. Then we can discuss possibly moving stop signs out into the hatched area. They will be lighted stop signs like we've seen at the other new stop intersections in town lately. So,
I just want to see, can we remove the barrel from Independence and Jefferson?
yes, yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
Once we get the stop sign,
Any other questions? Okay. I'd also like to give you all a report on the progress at the baseball field. I know I normally do this through the Board of Works. However, some things that have happened here recently would like to address the entire council and the mayor at this time. I'm going to submit this report and would ask that it also be recorded into the record. Take you back a ways. In 2022, Park Board, Baseball Board, the mayor, park manager, and myself worked diligently on plans to update the outdated baseball complex. Topics of discussion were the appearance and the lack of adequacy of the existing concession and restroom facilities, and the fact that the fields were too small to meet regulation play. After multiple meetings and discussions, Park Board moved forward with employing Context Design to assist us with a budget and conceptual design to upgrade the facility for regulation play, and also update the concessions and restroom facilities. In July of 2022, Context Design presented a plan and a budget back to the group. The budget was $4,038,000 to upgrade that facility. So at that point, we went back to the drawing board. Many discussions took place after receiving the plans and the budget. The main conclusions being that we really like the design, but we could not fit this project into the city budget. After a lot of thought and discussions with the mayor, the park manager, and myself, we felt that we could move this project forward by making a few changes to the scope and by the city performing a lot of the work. The scope of the work that the city would be performing is work in a similar fashion to work that they currently perform on a regular basis. I proceeded to work on a budget for the project, and I presented that new budget to the mayor. And at that time, that budget came back at $816,160. After further discussion, we, the city, decided to move the project forward. We started the project the week of June 26, 2023. That was the last week of baseball season. At this point in time, we've completed site demolition, site excavation, finished grading, and seeding. There's currently grass coming up today. The contractors, we will go out and solicit bids for contractors to be installing fence, building a concession stand, the restrooms, and the dugouts. The work left for the city to complete is site drainage, sanitary sewers, water, and electrical work. I was informed by the baseball board on September 28, 2023, that they had received a phone call from Sophie Hufford making them aware that IDEM was going to be called about the city hauling in mulch and using it on the baseball fields. Sophie asked the baseball board if they wanted to be a part of this inquiry. The baseball board declined the offer, and Sophie mentioned someone named Daniel in their conversation. On the afternoon of October 3rd, 2023, I received a phone call from Daniel Walterman with IDEM. Daniel informed me that he had inspected the site and he inspected the materials that we had used on the site and had no issues, and I have included his report with this report of the project. On the afternoon of October 4th, 2023, I received a letter from the Indiana Department of Labor stating that they had received a complaint alleging occupational safety or health hazards at our establishment or work site. I have submitted our training documentation to IOSHA for this complaint and not received back any word from them. On the morning of October 5th, I officially stopped all production utilizing city equipment and labor on this project. My reasoning for submitting this report for the record is due to the significant negative impact that these false accusations will have on this project. We are now facing the risk of a much higher cost and a project delay that may not be completed before next season. I will close with one final statement. The thought that I am receiving additional compensation for my work on this project has been brought up at previous council meetings. As many of you know, I make the same salary regardless of what projects are going on in the city. Sometimes people go above and beyond for their community without the need for additional compensation. Respectfully submitted, Michael Terry, Public Works Manager.
Thank you very much, Mike. You've done a tremendous job, as all departments of the city have, Diana, moving things forward, projects at much less cost than if we paid retail for those things moving forward. I regret to hear that some folks try to throw up barriers in getting things accomplished for the community. I can share there's more than a couple projects that we've had to be sensitive to criticisms and threats that have been found to be unfounded. I just hope the next council, the next mayor has the opportunity to work without these hindrances moving forward, because I think the majority of folks do want to see Tipton move forward. They are interested in seeing more amenities for the community. They're interested in seeing things updated for Tipton. So I look forward to supporting the next administration wholeheartedly in what they want to improve in Tipton. At this time, I had expressed that we would open the meeting for public comment. Is there anybody else from the council that would like to say something before we take public comment? I would ask that you state your name and your address of residence, please.
I will say, Mr. Mayor, while we're waiting on public comment, I want to publicly thank Mr. Terry for the work that he does. He does a lot of things nobody knows, and I'm going to share one of those publicly right now. At the end of May, my wife and I decided to take over the little free pantry that was on Maple Street because the lady that had that was unable to continue, and we felt it was a very valuable service to the community for folks to be able to get food at any time, any place, and not have to wait for a food bank to be open. The advantages of having a self-serve quick pantry. Mr. Terry, on his own time, on his own dime, with his own equipment, moved that pantry from Maple Street to Oak Street and did not charge me a red cent to do that. Wanted no publicity, wanted no credit for it. It's types of things that Mr. Terry does that he gets no credit for, and I thought it was pertinent to bring that up at this time. Thank you, Mike. That pantry continues to serve many, and I couldn't have done that without you, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rick. Who wants to go first?
Before everything else gets started, Chief of Police Jeff Stout, 4 years of working with you guys has been great, dealing with the budgets and everything. I just wanted to say that the department and myself appreciate everything you guys have done for us, the increases over the years, working with Lynn and Tammy. Whether I'm in this position next year or not, I hope I left the department and the city in a better place. So personally, I just want to say thank you to all of you, and job well done.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
You've done a tremendous job. Thank you.
Michelle Hoover. Sorry about that first.
Your address, please, of residence.
331 Maple Street.
Thank you.
I think my frustration is that no one has ever asked me how I felt. I live on the corner of Maple and North, and since this decision has been made, the traffic on North has even gotten worse. It has very little patrol, and it's a drag strip. It's been cut down somewhat by the 2 stop signs that have been put up there, but it's still disregarded in a lot of ways. So I'm not talking about the consequences of downtown because I don't come downtown that much. So my thoughts on the stop lights and stop signs doesn't entirely start there. My opposition to all of this is the way it all was handled from the get-go. You took the cart before the horse. You made a decision at the last minute about 2:13 and 28. And then you made a decision to do the bypass, diverting the semis on the bypass. And then those of us, many of us, were pretty skeptical about, why wouldn't they be, about a semi quite timely taking out the stop light at Jefferson and Main. So why wouldn't we put the stop sign there? So, having all said that, oh, by the way, all of this having to be done without a budget. How's all this going to be paid? So, not a word, not a question as to how the taxpayers feel about it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Tony Lee. At my address, 925 North Independence. And a couple things I wanted to say first off is that I agree with everybody on the board. Safety is number one on the list of downtown pedestrians, traffic, and everything else. Even with the petition that I put out, that was the main cause of the petition, is preserve intersection safety in Tiffin. Second of all, Sophie brought up that not everyone that had signed it was from the 46072 area code. I tried to be as direct as I could as far as getting just people from Tifton. It was posted on 4 sites on Facebook. All of them were Tifton only sites. And some of the signatures are from people who travel here quite often, who have family here, and maybe even shop here. I've gotten many messages, so that was the increase in numbers. I'm not saying every 822 signatures is from somebody that is like that, but that was the difference in the number that I counted, or the online counted, and what you counted. So the main part of the petition was there were some studies done from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration that I pulled up, that the presence of stoplight actually reduces the likelihood of severe accidents caused by drivers failing to yield for a stop sign. That's mentioned in the petition, which all of you have. The efficient traffic flow, obviously we've talked about that. Traffic is going to slow down through town with the stop signs, and for the pedestrian safety. I understand that, but that was in the petition also. The economic impact is what we're starting to see. And I'm not going to name businesses, but I've talked to a lot of businesses right down the main drag. And the traffic trying to get into a parking space, into a parking lot, anytime that you try to go north and south across Jefferson, where there's only a 2-way stop on the north and south roads and it's free, it's timed to the point to where the stop sign is making it almost impossible to get out. And I've seen people pull out in front of people, near misses, and this is not at the proposed stop sign area. This is at the north and south roads that are on the 2-way stops. Unfortunately, we did have an accident last night at Main and Jefferson because someone blew the stop sign and T-boned another car that was coming through when it was their turn. And this is the kind of stuff that a lot of us are afraid of is that the stoplights have been there for so long that people are just gonna go right through it. And it's gonna be a growing pain, unfortunately, with the amendment approved already, that we're gonna have to watch out for and everything. So, with that, that's about all I had to say, and I thank you for letting me speak and explain the petition, and hope that it is not anything that had to do with my petition that had any threats on anybody. That was not the case at all. It was a matter of public safety, just like each and every one of you said. So,
Thank you.
thank you for that.
Tim Horton, home address 906 West, 300 South, Tipton. We have a downtown business a block down the street. Have a bird's eye view every single day of what goes on in that intersection. I probably see more bad stuff going on than anybody else in town. And I want to thank, first of all, the people behind me. There's more people in that hallway than there is in here, okay? Probably 90% of the people here tonight are against these stoplights leaving. At the very least, we should leave them in for whatever reason. It's not going to cost a dime to leave those guys in. And just watch what we're doing. I mean, if there's certain ways that we can make the pedestrians safer, let's do it. But don't rip those stoplights out. That makes no sense. And we have 12 cameras all around our property over here. One of those cameras at 8 o'clock last night picked up the accident, okay, between a car and a truck. And my daughter happened to be working late, walked out in the parking lot, bam, okay. I still don't think that stop lights, I still don't think that stop signs are safer than stop lights. That's my opinion. And I'm really concerned about the pedestrians. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tim, can I ask you one question?
Sure.
Because I have tremendous amount of respect for you. We've worked on Main Street. Regardless, let's forget stoplights, stop signs. Do you agree that that is better for pedestrians than what we had a year ago?
My daughter brought up to do with this. My daughter brought up a couple meetings ago in Greenfield and Franklin how they do their pedestrian walks. If we had something like this, like that, I'd be okay. I mean, we've lost business. It's not about us. We've lost business because of this, and it's not going to affect what we do. And I don't know exactly what that is, but that's got to be better than what it is now, correct?
Well, it's pedestrians are crossing 2 lanes, not 4. I mean, just on its face, it's just safer. And I agree, long-term, we should keep looking at ways to improve vehicular flow and pedestrian traffic.
No matter what happens, people are going to blow it no matter what. Okay?
Well, there's things we can do.
Correct.
The orange sign that Mike was talking about, that calms traffic. Putting things like flower pots, what do you want to do? Calms traffic. Putting more parking spaces behind those calms traffic.
I'm in favor. I haven't seen this. I'm in favor of what my daughter brought. I still don't know what we're looking at. Even though I have glasses, I don't know what we're looking at. So I'm only going by what I've seen my daughter propose, okay? It's not the end all, but it's a very safe system. I just don't want to see those things pulled out before something safe is put in.
Tim, I have to tell you that I too respect you, and I used to work for you many years ago, and people cut through your parking lot then, so that's nothing new. But someone did send me a video that I found very disappointing. And the video was of you taking your truck, parking it in a yellow zone, blocking the view of people who are coming up to the stop sign on pedestrians.
Where's this at?
On your corner between yourself and Market. And my first comment was, you were fearful for pedestrians, yet you're hindering the traffic flow.
What yellow was I parking at?
there's a yellow from that flower pot to the corner and your truck.
Talking about on the right-hand side?
On the north side of your building. And so I was pretty disturbed by seeing that.
Well,
because
you ought to be disturbed, but I don't think, seriously, how many,
two things that you said, which was the safety of people, so you were not afraid to do that. And you
Oh,
did
okay,
think
number
there was a
one,
stop sign
if I
in
did
the
that,
people.
that's on me, okay? How many times have I done that in the last
I don't
freaking
know,
45
I'm
years?
just
I'm not
saying,
gonna get upset.
This was
how
part
about,
of the video.
It's a public comment point, so if we would, let's just let the public make comment and then we'll move to the next person. Thank you very much, Tim, for your comments.
Good faith, that Tim probably was quickly doing something, and I've known Tim a long time. I do not think there was any ill intent in Tim's action.
Like I say, let's just
keep the
allow the
comments with
public,
the good faith we've already had.
let's just let the public comment and not provide an exchange here.
My name's Ron Neff. I live at 712 North Main Street, been there 34 years. I've known a lot of people on this board for a long, long time, and I respect all of you. We, everybody in that room, everybody in this room, voted either for or against all you people. If we disagree, we'll vote for you again, okay? If we agree, you may have another round. For anybody to criticize Tim Horton for parking his truck, no, you let me finish, don't
What
interrupt.
came my way?
You had your turn, let him talk.
You're not in charge, come out and show your face.
Are you in charge?
Let's not make this an exchange. Mr. Neff, if you would be so kind, please don't make this personal towards somebody on the council.
Beyond,
Disappointed in what I saw.
beyond.
Could you just provide us
If he misparked his truck,
your
I've been in
point?
business there for 30-some years. How many times have long-time business people in this town quit because they just can't make enough money? They don't get along with you people. How many times? Okay, think about it. Over and over again, I've lived here for 68 years. I've seen this town go through a lot of changes. And to criticize any of these businesses, this guy's my neighbor. Okay, he developed a business out of nothing. Okay, Tim Horton, same way. I love the guy, went to school with, known him for over 50 years. I could criticize him for parking his truck. Oh, are you really?
We're talking about stop signs.
No, we're talking about safety. Let's talk about what he said. Think about what he said.
Sophie, if you would, please just let Mr. Neff talk here.
Pedestrian walks. I ride my bicycle through town. And I got hit the other day by a Dodge Ram. Okay? It would have just put me under. I know it would have. Okay? So if we got to have the pedestrian walks, like Tim said, that's the very least. So where all of a sudden, all four-way stops to let a group of people walk with their baby stroller, a guy on his bicycle can walk across the street. Okay? That's what these people are here for. They're for safety. They're not to change your mind. Your minds are made up. We can't change your minds now. You just voted. But make it safe. Spend the extra money for pedestrian walks, signs that say pedestrians first. Like you said at the beginning, Tom, Mayor, pedestrians always right at the right of way. Okay? That's all we're asking. Make this town safe so people will move here. Businesses like Hortons will stay here, like Tim Richards will stay here, okay, for maybe a next generation. And not get discouraged because they don't make enough money and things are unsafe and they're going to fold and move to Westfield. That's what we don't want. It's not Tipton Grove, okay? Not for me, but for my kids, my grandkids. That's all I've got to say.
Thank you.
James Davis, excuse me, 422 East Jefferson. I just want to say that I find it very distasteful that any of our elected officials would take personal attacks at members of our community making public comment and then shine an eye at the chief of police as if he is going to cause order and support that. Very distasteful.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ed Cage, 212 East South Street, Tipton. I've been a business owner in this community for 10 years. I've sat in those chairs where you guys have sat before. I'm very disappointed in several of you here. I just really don't know what you're thinking right now. I certainly hope that this community can revolve back to where we're at. One thing I do like, leave the lights there because I think the next administration will change it. But in the meantime, appreciate you voting the way you are. Like I say, there's a couple of things, Rick, we did a lot of things together. And we moved our community forward when we were on the council together. But I don't believe that this is the right thing. And I really don't believe that you've done your community justice, Mayor.
Thank you.
Call me Ed.
Benny Fraser, 301 Maple Street. Everybody knows me that I usually get up there and I complain. I'm up here to give a couple compliments. 1 to Nate for saying what he did about public safety and all of you for public safety. That's number one. And the second thing is for your comment on keeping the stoplights. I think that's a great thing. The second compliment is to the mayor. You agreed to meet with me last week for a little while to discuss. We disagreed to disagree on a lot of things, but you're kind enough to give me some time. And we still agree to disagree on a lot of things, but we talked about several things, one including the stoplights. And I asked you what your intentions were on the stoplights. Would you care to reveal what you told me?
I made the comment, I believe, that I was fine with the structure staying. I think having an additional warning sign, such as a flashing red light, made sense.
Yes.
So I also enjoyed our discussion, Mr. Frazier.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Next.
If I'd have known I was going to speak, would have dressed better people, but I'm in my work clothes. So I'm Nancy Klein, Tipton County Commissioner. And
Address, please.
Address is, I live in the county, 11831 West 500 South, Kirkland, Indiana.
Thank you.
And for someone to say that this doesn't affect all county residents, that is just not true. We all shop in town, we all travel these roads. It affects us all. And my husband signed the petition because my son came through here. He actually was in Kirkland County, and he said, what are you guys doing to Tipton? He said, it's a mess with these four-way stops. And so it's everybody. And it's my friends that come here to shop from Clinton County. It's a mess here. I'm worried about our businesses, people. Mayor, I'm very disappointed in you for not allowing people to speak before the vote. You're disenfranchising your citizens. So now we can talk, but we couldn't talk before. That is not right. It is not right. I don't care how long it takes. You have to listen to your constituents. That's what we do as commissioners. You have to listen to your people. The other thing is, I want to tell you this relinquishment thing, folks. A lot of people don't know the truth about this. This began in, I think, don't hold me to it, but I think 2020, Someone called me as a commissioner from the courthouse. I was kind of new. Someone called me and said, hey, there's a group out in the parking lot getting ready to go someplace. There was a woman, the mayor, and 2 commissioners. I was left out. And I know why I was left out. Because I like to think things through, and I don't like things shoved down my throat. This relinquishment was shoved down the citizens' throats. The people, those poor people on Park Road, they read about it in the paper Tuesday, and on Thursday we had to vote on it. The relinquishment is going to be horrible for the county. Now we've got State Road 28. We have to take care of old State Road 28. Plus now we have division where all the trucks from Frito-Lay and Walmart and whoever knows going on division. The shoulders aren't even wide enough. This is gonna hurt the county more than it's gonna hurt the city, folks, because there's not gonna be enough money to do this. And it was rammed down the citizens' throats. I don't care. Someone had an agenda. And those of you who know me know I will state the truth. Someone had an agenda and the citizens did not have enough say. And I'm sorry, but government shouldn't be conducted this way.
Nancy, since you're addressing the council, whether someone likes relinquishment or don't, would you clarify the fact that the council members, just like the county council, did not have a vote either yay or nay on the relinquishment? That was a choice of the
city council
executives.
did not. The folks that got to vote on the relinquishment, yes or no, was the mayor and the 3 commissioners. The other 2 commissioners went along with the mayor, and I voted no. And I'm proud of my vote.
Thank you, Nancy.
Kimber Traxler, 114 East Jefferson. I own Urban Homestead.
Where do you live?
3346 South, 100 West.
Thank you.
We didn't know what quite I was going to be able to say, simply because we had asked to be put on agenda prior to 6 days ago. And we had received an email saying no public comment prior to. So it kind of takes away some of everything that we wanted to say. I had the opportunity with Gordon's, we canvassed some of the businesses the last couple 2-3 days, got input. I feel like the unease and concern is just the unanswered questions. And what we're asking for was a pause. Don't make it permanent. Don't make it where we cannot go back, because 3 weeks of the testing period is not. There was a traffic study in February. That traffic study was done for justification for removal of stop lights. That traffic study does not tell us what's going on right now. We invested in a building in 2018. We poured our hearts into this. And not to be able to come up and be put on an agenda makes us feel like we don't matter. I appreciate everybody's other opinions, and I was not stamped in the ground going, I don't have another thought about this. I was waiting for some facts and some time, not 3 weeks. So what's going to happen? Where's this traffic going? We don't know. I hope there's a plan. I really do. I said, I don't think that it is your goal to undo the progress that has happened in 5 years, but with rushed decisions, it can happen, and we can go backwards. And I don't want that. And I'm just disappointed that it happened so fast. I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Can I ask you one question, Kendra? That's better.
No, go ahead.
Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Jeremy Bennett, 6824 West 350 South, Tipton. I've been here a couple times for some of these meetings, and I think it's not an easy decision. You guys said that. This is not an easy decision. I get it. I do. And I appreciate you guys willing to serve, but I think, again, part of your willingness to serve as a public official, as a public servant, is to listen to your constituents, to allow for an open dialogue, an open discussion, right? We're all neighbors. This is a community we all want to move forward. And I do agree that how this was ran, how this has gone sort of down, goes against everything. And you wonder why people are so nauseated and frustrated, not here with the federal government or state, but our local government. It's a sad day. It really is that, again, this is the final reading the last call before a vote and we would not allow your constituents to speak. Yeah, you've heard from them already, but I think, yeah, I don't care how long it takes. That's a part of your jobs. It's what you were elected to do, is sit here and to listen. Again, you're going to have to continue to live in this community as well. So you might as well face the crowd now. I do think we've shared multiple times. We've come up here. I do agree that you should leave in the stoplights. Just like we've said, you know, it's kind of interesting. We're talking out of both sides of the mouth. Your study said that the stoplights weren't warranted because there wasn't enough people, enough population to warrant them. But yet at the county level, we're passing all these things because we're growing by leaps and bounds, and we're going to put all of this land into overlay districts. Which way is it? Are we growing or are we not? If we are growing, we definitely should leave those lights in, because you're going to have to spend money in several years then. If the prediction is correct, we're growing, you're going to have to put them right back in. So it is not worth taxpayer dollars to pull those out at all. Also believed in the principle of, you know what, sometimes we just got to admit we're wrong. I think the state realized that down at Wilson's. They thought they were doing what was in the best interest with that project. They have now realized, you know what, let's sit down and come up with a better approach. The public has spoken. Let's try to figure out what is a good approach to solve this. What is a solution? I don't know if any of you all have sat down with the businesses and really talked to them to figure out what is in the best interest for them with your constituents. Have some community engagement. I know, Rick, you said you're glad that this room is filled. Yeah, and I wish each one of you would stand up and actually go walk down that hallway right now, because there's more people out there than in here. But if you go walk and talk with them, put some focus groups together to figure out what can we do. And I realize it's not on your backs, because some of this happened because of the relinquishment. And that's not on you all. That's on a very few select individuals. But now you guys have to either make this decision tonight, which you just did, or you're going to put it on the back of the next council that potentially comes in to figure out, how do we fund this stuff? What is our options? What are our solutions going forward? So I hope that we just take a breath, because I think, like you said, Nathan, we live in this community. We don't want to tear ourselves apart. That absolutely is no one's sort of priority here to do that. But sit down and come up with sort of a focus group to figure out how we can move this forward and not do it where it was rushed. This was absolutely rushed in every way. We even came, a big group of us from the ag community came and talked to you all around that, and you guys hit pause. We refocused. We made sure the ordinance was actually written. Again, just taking your time, because this will impact Tipton forever. And we are already seeing a lot of truckers that are going to social media, and the headlines, they're not reading that Tipton is a favorable community. No, those headlines are Tipton's not a good community.
I think they are making a statement about we're geared towards pedestrians in our downtown.
Okay.
So
again, that can be your opinion, but I think from some articles that I've seen, I'm definitely seeing it's very damaging.
Not good for truckers.
It's very damaging for truckers, and especially a community that I chose to live here, move here, because I wanted that rural connection. I wanted that ag history. You have so many folks that have been here for generations and will continue. And this is not moving it forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody keeps saying this is rushed. We've been working on this for almost a year. Nobody's sat in those meetings with us. You voted for us to do it, and we've sat in them.
You haven't asked us.
We've had.
Is there any other public comment for this evening?
But it's not been rushed, and it's all for the safety.
Denny, you can go up there, bud, if you want to speak.
Hi, gentlemen. I know most of you. My name is Denny Altair. I live at 360 North Main Street. I'm opposed to your decision to have the four-way stops. I believe that, like most of the people in this room, you should have taken the time to get our input before you even made the decision to have the four-way stop sign downtown. I also believe that the way the stoplights are now, before they changed to the flashing red lights, if my thinking, and I don't know if anybody will agree with me, but I've noticed when I come into town, you've got one stoplight that turns red, you get to another one, it's green, and the next one, it's red. Why not synchronize them all to be red, 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 and then green, green, green? Maybe that would make the traffic flow a little bit better. That's just my way of thinking.
Thank you.
And how fast would that traffic flow if we did that?
There's not one that's green, Mike, is there? Okay. Roberta? Name and address,
I'm
please.
sorry, Roberta Heinzman, 904 Mill Street. I understand the idea of the stop signs being untrustworthy, not good for the city, not good for the county, all of that. But I live next to a stop sign. For 10 years, I've lived next to a stop sign in your city. I consider this my city now. I have the same problems with people with stop signs. I have kids in my neighborhood riding bikes on the streets every day on their skateboards. I have people racing through on Hill Street because they don't want to drive through downtown, period. That's not new to me. Those people have been doing that to my neighborhood for 10 years. I mean, you're gonna have people that will run stop signs. You're gonna have people that will run stoplights. I'm not discarding what anybody else is saying about not liking the stop signs. I want you to know, in my 10 years here, I have seen 3 accidents at Main and Jefferson because people tried to beat the lights. And 2 of them with children in both cars. So, you know, you gotta give and take here. I say we try this. I say we try this. I say everybody have an open mind. Things never stay the same wherever you live. I took the chance to move here because I didn't want to live next to the sports center in Westfield. I lived 1 mile from it. I couldn't get to the highway. I could get to the highway if I left 45 minutes earlier. Regardless of where I went, either north, south, east, or west. That's why I moved here. I want a safer, slower downtown. I want that for all of us. I don't mind if the truckers are upset. I don't mind if they're upset. I feel bad kinda that they're upset, but we're the ones that live here. We're the ones that have to keep people safe. We're the ones that have to make sure our businesses are safe. I'm not stopping shopping downtown. I mean, I hear people say that all the time. I'm not doing that. I'm gonna shop downtown every chance I get, regardless if there's stop signs or stop lights. But right now, it's stop signs, and I'm willing to give it a try. And I appreciate all of you. I mean, even you, Rick, you know. You know, things change. I know that's so hard. I'm always surprised when I hear, I'm afraid. I hear that from so many of my neighbors about change. You know, let's make this a good change. Let's try it. Let's just try it. I mean, take it 6 months, a year to see what happens, you know? Nothing is permanent in this lifetime. I mean, none of us are permanent in this lifetime. These streets will probably change again and again in the next 50 years. You know, you do the best you can. I think you guys did do the best you can. This was not done quickly. I've been coming to these meetings ever since the first of the year when you started talking about this. Our problem is truly communication in this community because we have next to no newspaper now. Things are posted on city and county buildings, but people don't normally walk into them unless they have business to discuss. I think it's on all of us, no matter how upset we are, that we need to pay attention to what's going on in the city and in the county, and not depend on people saying, come on in, let's have a meeting, come on in, let's have a meeting. We need to take some of that responsibility. We all need that responsibility. That's what a community is about. And I just don't want anybody to come and toilet paper my house, okay? Because I like all the people in this town, on this.
Thanks, Roberta.
So,
Roberta, I won't let them. We live too close to each other, so.
okay, thank you.
You
Thank
could
you very
resell
much.
it. I mean, if they did, probably get a pretty penny.
Jane Herbert, 85 West, 100 North. This is extremely frustrating for me because for the mayor to say that this is not an NDOT issue and therefore it's not really a city issue, it absolutely is. Because we're only here because of the relinquishment. And that was an NDOT issue. And it all started on July 14th of 2021. And this is not a homecoming queen contest or a popularity contest. This decision should have been based on facts. Nobody's opinion, nobody's, I think you should do this, I think this will happen, or anything else. And I continue to correspond with NDOT every week on their advice, using me as a conduit to pass along to you. And you all know that because you've received communication from me every week. Sometimes I'm not sure that you're reading it because I hear things that I'm not sure that, you know, you're taking to heart, because I'm hearing that the advice is being ignored, and that's fine if that's what you want to do. But when I hear comments like, I want pedestrians to be safe, after I have told you that their advice is to remove the structures because the driver's eyes look up. So if the driver's eyes are looking up and not at the road, someone's going to get hit. So when I hear comments that we should keep a stoplight, when I've given you information saying that that would have been the worst thing in the world to do because it would have caused a mess, then it's extremely frustrating for me to ask their advice. These are traffic engineers, they are experts. And that's what I'm trying to do, is to give you their expert opinion. So I don't want a situation where I've tried to give you the best advice based on facts, based on studies, based on what other communities have done and what has worked for them in other relinquishments, and then it's ignored. And then someone does get killed.
Yeah.
So all of you have made this decision, I hope, based on facts. It has not been rushed. It's not been 3 weeks. It happened 9 weeks ago. They've been blinking red for 9 weeks. You've received countless videos also showing you the intersection, showing you pedestrians crossing. So I I don't expect the people, the citizens, to know what you know. And I hope they give you the benefit of the doubt that you have been armed with information that they do not have. So I will continue to the end of the year, giving you the information that I'm receiving from NDOT. I am the one who's getting the signage for the truckers. I'm the one who's getting the, hopefully, signs for the truckers to know where to go. It takes time. NDOT is an agency that will only use American-made sheet metal, and it's hard to come by. So when I put in these requests, it takes time because they can't get it. So if things seem like they're not happening soon enough, it's just because the work order is being processed. So it takes some time. I agree that the signage was not done in a, for the truckers especially, in an expedient manner. But it's just, it does take a lot of time. So, and I don't know where we are on enforcement either. I don't know that. I mean, you passed the ordinance asking for the enforcement. I don't know where we are on that. But if the truckers are getting the message, that's great. But it has been really frustrating for me. And I know it's probably frustrating for the citizenry, but I hope they realize and the attacks that you've gotten are unwarranted because you have information that they don't have. And because we don't have a paper, nobody knows the true facts. But I do. And it's been going on since July 14th, 2021. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If there's no one else,
One more. Hi, Eric Underwood, 233 North Main. A lifelong residents here. We're new, just over 2 years living in Tipton. We have loved getting to know the downtown by walking around, walking to the Elks, walking to get ice cream, going to the square when there's music. Fortunately, the first 2 years, never had an incident ever crossing a street downtown. The lights seem pretty plain to the drivers, and if you're a pedestrian and you wait till it says walk to walk, it didn't seem to be a problem. But in the 9 weeks, this is just my study, and I don't work for NDOT or anybody else's. Mine said, in the last 9 weeks, I have come this close to being hit by a car that ran a four-way stop. I actually tapped on the driver's window as I stopped, and they cut right in front of me. If I'd have kept walking, I would have been in a grease spot on the road. A couple weeks ago, same thing, only I was a little farther across the road. I had to leap in the air, put my hand on the hood of their car, and push myself out of the way. It sounds a lot smoother than it was, but I didn't get hit. That lady was stunned that there was someone in front of her because she was driving, look, she didn't see any cars, right through the intersection. Never happened when we had the lights. I tell you those stories to tell you this. I'm on the Tipton School Board, and I'm very concerned about our students that walk to school. Very concerned. I was walking with my head up, not looking at my phone, and aware that not every driver is great. They walk to school with their head down, half asleep, looking at their phone. They are not looking for cars. And I'm begging Officer Stout to get some patrols out there to give some tickets for running these stop signs, because I'm seeing it all the time. It's the only message. They voted, we're gonna get them. We've got to send a message that if you're running those signs, you're gonna get a ticket.
Do you have any more stops today?
I'm glad you're doing it. No, it's a question, how many? Yeah.
12 today.
Good.
Just on Nation. So
Yeah.
It is being done.
That's probably 10% of the ones that, but I
But you gotta
understand.
understand, we cannot be at every intersection.
I know.
Every hour.
I'm glad to hear that.
Today,
I am.
2 guys working. Good. Two
Yeah,
guys.
I know you're short staffed. So I'm.
would you be for traffic cameras? Would you be for traffic cameras, Eric?
I mean, are we gonna look at the cameras and then go get those people?
That they automatically
Nope.
issue citations in other states.
You need traffic cameras to help with when to cross?
Traffic cameras that if someone goes through an intersection without stopping or obeying regulations, then they get sent a ticket.
I don't know. There's states that have fought that in court, right? Some
There's
states
other
allow
states
some-
that have adopted it. I would
Yeah.
hope that you would be for it if you were for the safety of our students and for pedestrians.
Absolutely. I hope we're giving speeding tickets. I don't
Got
know.
it.
what
I
we're
as well.
doing.
Yeah, I've been
Yeah.
a big advocate of traffic cameras.
Where it's the light or a stop sign, people should be stopping.
Absolutely.
My personal.
I don't accept
survey,
it's just going to happen as an
I don't
excuse
either.
to it.
I don't accept that either.
Okay.
That's why I said I hope we're writing tickets.
No,
I'm glad
I
you
think
asked that.
everything we can do to give a ticket for somebody violating the law, we should do.
Absolutely,
Okay.
100%. And I just think we need more of it, like maybe right at the main intersection where more people see that we're doing that, you know? But whether it's in this lady's neighborhood or right
Yep,
here. in
absolutely.
Jefferson,
Yep.
We need to be, I'm just concerned about the students, really, because they walk to school and
I
it's a
understand.
hazard.
Yep.
And Rick, I'd like to say to you, I've been on the school board not quite a year. I've been the only dissenting vote a couple of times. So good for you. It's not easy to go against your peers and against the mayor. So I'm glad to see you guys all keep your own opinion. And I know I've seen you, I've watched some of the council meetings, and you are a voice sometimes in the minority. So I'm glad some people do that. So.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I believe you've already spoken.
Yeah, just one.
I got to go to the bathroom, okay? So go ahead and speak. I will be
Okay.
right back, okay?
Fantastic. I'm glad that the gentleman just before me just had said this because it was, again, kind of my own personal thought of when I drive through town of what I thought it was like. But I was glad he said too, because I feel it's actually, it's not as safe as it once was. Just a couple weekends ago when Hortons had their big weekend, the autumn sale coming through town, and I just noticed, I looked up and I realized like something's wrong. Something's not right. Good thing I knew to stop. There was no stop sign. There was no stop light. The power went out. There was no cop stopping traffic. People were just blowing through there. That was not a safe moment at all. And if there would have been any accidents that weekend that cost lives, fortunately, I think people would have realized that's on your shoulders of moving that direction. There was no plan. We're waiting for signs. We're waiting for this. We're waiting for that. Before you start ripping things out, you have to have that plan and all of those pieces fall together to make it safe. Because that moment, I knew to stop. But how about all the other folks that are coming through town that have never been to Tipton? And that would have been their one experience coming to Tipton and getting hit because no power, no stop sign.
Now, I would argue, not
No
to interrupt
officer?
you, and I voted, to keep the lights, okay? I would argue people also need to take their driving manuals, dust them off, and read them. Because everyone knows that when there's no power at a stop and go light, it's to be treated like a four-way stop. So I wouldn't say that's everyone's fault here. I'd also say drivers as a whole need to re-engage and be awake when you drive and know the traffic regulations. And again, I voted to keep the lights, but I think that burden should be shared, obviously.
And I would just caution away, and I know, Rick, I think you had asked for the barrel to be removed. But again, when you don't see any light flashing or solid light, you don't see a stop sign, don't put the stop sign over on the crosswalk. People aren't looking there, they're looking straight ahead. And when they don't see a stop sign visible, that's why that weekend it was so dangerous coming through there. And so again, I feel like it hadn't been as safe as it once was. But, and what made me even more frustrated that weekend, the moment I got through, picked up my dry cleanings here in town, I called the non-emergency dispatch number to, hey, I didn't know what was going on. I didn't take to social media to figure out it was a power outage, whatever. Couldn't get through. The line kept the busy signal. Tried to call two other numbers that were online listed for whether it's dispatch, city hall. You couldn't get through. No one. For 4 hours I tried. So what, we just shut down and not answer? I think that's a bad decision. But that was a moment, again, I did not feel safe. I'm glad some others have said, yeah, they don't feel any safer actually. And I know that the reason why we're doing this is to have a safe pedestrian walk, but that moment it didn't. We didn't have everything in place we needed for the unexpected. You have to plan for that. And I think we're a little short-sighted on that, but thank you.
My name is Cindy Ligon. I live at 304 North Independence Street. We've had a lot of people speak tonight regarding the stop signs. How it's going to cause the city businesses to be affected, how it's going to cause the community walking, and I keep hearing safety, safety, safety. Well, we all have to take responsibility for our own safety. We have to use our common sense. We have to be involved. And we can't just jump on the bandwagon when it suits us. Now, I also am a transplant. I grew up downtown Indianapolis, lived in Westfield for 30 years. I came to this city because it's charming. I feel like people care about people, and it has a good community spirit. I do have an issue where we are not allowed to speak before a vote just because when the government does something for your safety or they're going to take care of you, you need to think twice. You have to be aware, and you can't just hide or not share information. And it may be everyone is so busy that they don't hear about things coming up and it's last minute and you hear it on the Tipton page or this or that. And maybe communication is all that is the issue. And it's nice to see everyone out here tonight, but we do have to take responsibility for ourselves and our community and be involved. I appreciate what you do. You obviously don't do it for the money. I appreciate Hortons. I appreciate the market and all the things that are happening. But we have to take responsibility for ourselves and drive the roads, look both ways, and be responsible. And I'm going to leave you tonight. Enjoy your evening, and thank everyone for coming out.
Thank
you. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Tim Richards, 724 North Main Street here in Tipton. A few things I'd like to address. I'd like to thank all you guys for what you're doing. I, from the beginning, was against the stop signs. I didn't know all my facts. And I was totally against it, spoke out against it. Being elected council, when November comes up, I'll be coming to that side of the table. So I started coming to the meetings that you guys have for quite a while now. I've been listening to a lot of things, hearing a lot of things that hasn't happened yet. That I strongly believe, as a business owner at Tim's Ones here in town, I believe when all this gets done, I think it's going to be much more walkable. I think we're going to have, as businesses become stronger in the end of this, it may hurt for a little while, but I think in the end, we're going to become a lot stronger because I've listened to a lot of things that you guys have planned in the future. In that same sentence, Court Street, I still believe is one we still need to put a crosswalk from Court Street to the other side of Jefferson Street because we have a lot of events right in that area. A lot of people, and that's one thing I still think we're missing is that extra crosswalk there. Everybody's talking about vote for this person, vote for that person, and not being able to speak tonight. Nate, did you make the decision? Nobody can talk tonight.
No.
Okay. You was talking about whether they voted for you or not, but you didn't make that decision. You're a city councilman. You've done what you thought was right. So I don't want people to hold that against you. I don't think it should be held against you guys. As a community, I think we should have a right to talk. But I think if everybody starts finding out everything that's going to happen in the future, I think some lines will change. I think it's going to take time to change. I don't know how fast you guys are planning on doing this. I do agree with Nate and the mayor both. I think the lights need to stay above until we finally get something to put in there to make it safe for people to walk across the street. I agree this is going to be a lot safer when you guys get this project done. I don't think it's going to be the last thing that needs to be done. I think there's more work that needs to be done, in my opinion. But I want to applaud you guys because I still think you've done a very good job. I think in a year, when we revisit this, I think it'll be a different result from a lot of people. So thank you guys.
Thanks, Tim. Anyone else?
The last thing I want to say, Ed, did you want- yeah, go ahead.
I'm Ed Guffey, 510 North Condy. Where do we start? Well, I mean, safety is the main concern. So from an economic issue, I am pretty much the busiest shop in town, even the dealerships. I'm on a hole in the wall on the edge of town. We added one stop sign to Sweetland. I used to see 40 to 60 cars a day drive by my shop. Now probably 8 out of 10, the only reason they come to Sweetland is because they're coming down to me. If I wasn't so popular, it probably would have put me out of business. You know what I mean? Just the amount of traffic. But I mean, we're talking about growing Tipton, but we're blocking the whole world from coming into Tipton. Like the whole world works on trade, economics. Half the people in this town don't work in this town. Everybody works in another town. You know what I mean? But it's so hard to go through town. I go to the store 6 to 10 times a day, 5 days a week. And you can't get uptown. You can't even go down North Street, which is the easiest street besides Main. Everybody's trying to bypass the city, and we heard several people complaining about people going up and down the streets. I just think it's a bad move. Hortons has already talked about losing business, and I think all these other little shops that are popping up in town are going to lose business inevitably. Because, I mean, who wants to come here when it's, you know, it takes you forever just to get to a store uptown. And then, like they said, trying to back into a parking spot on the street when it's four-way. I mean, it's one car after another. Yeah. I know that the whole world is supposed to obey traffic laws, but when it's rush hour traffic after work, no one gives any attention to the pedestrians on the sidewalk. 10 cars will go through a stop sign, and not one will wait and let them go through. But, I mean, I know your stats say they're safer. I don't believe it. I know, like Sophie said, all the businesses in town are for it, but I think they're all here, and none of them are for it. I don't know. I mean, and I've lived here my whole life. I'll be 47 in a couple weeks. I've seen these stoplights knocked down more times than I can remember. They're usually fixed within 2 weeks. It's been 9 weeks. Even if you guys had intended on changing the whole town to stop signs, that light should have been fixed a long time ago. You know, and I mean, it wasn't out. I don't believe it was any of our money. I mean, the trucker's insurance had to pay for the light to be fixed. So it should have been fixed weeks ago. But, I mean, that's about all I got to say, really.
Thank you. Anyone else?
The last thing I wanted to say was, I just want to reiterate that I think what we had last year was suboptimal, and I think what we have right now is suboptimal. And I think regardless of how this vote went, this is better, whether we kept the stop signs, kept the stoplights or not. This is better for everybody, pedestrians, most importantly. So I think if we focus on these improvements, everybody can agree, I would hope, that this is better. This is better. So I think there is silver lining to some of this. And again, for those who didn't hear, Mike said, what, roughly 2 weeks? We could probably have that done.
Yep, that's the plan.
Okay, that was it.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor
Who made the
signify by
motion?
saying aye. Rick and Nate.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you very much for coming out.
We'll be here 2 weeks again.
Second, fourth.
Right here. Love to see you.